Youngster side. Defuse kit and HE on Coolio, but Dito has the flash smoke in HE, and Youngsters are going to set themselves out to the B stack. Out of the apartments, it seems to be. HE start to do some damage, and they're going to try to strike off the back of a flashbang.
And there's actually no smokes or anything. It's just a single flash coming out for GAMBIT Youngsters to try and see if they can get themselves into that B bomb site. They found the opening kill, and the presence is continuing. These entries coming out from Instas, 3 massive kills at Budapest 5, well, they're locked out of the site.
Torsey will get 1 trade frag, but Inters with 3 picks so far in this one. Super watching out from the back of bench, seeing where Corey is. Torsey will face up. Corey goes down to Shiro, and now it's all left to the lone USP here in the back of market. We'll tap up, try to take Inters down. 11 HP, he's so close, but the rest of the T's know where to hold from, where to aim at. Good shot for 1 and 2 for Torsey. They're giving up these 1v1s, and Shiro rounds the corner. P250 gets headshot out the server. 4 kills for Torsey, and a big pistol round for Budapest to 5.
Oh my goodness, that was insane coming out from Torsey. What a clutch to come out with that USP. 1 versus 3 clutch, 4 kills in the round. And for GAMBIT Youngsters, it almost seems like those were just unnecessary jewels being taken there. And for Budapest 5, they get an absolute gift on the retake.
Absolutely they do, and just, you know, just this entry, and the fact that Torsey were able to make so much work out for this flick, the headshot, and then the tagged up player was all taking a swing. A little bit too aggressive from GAMBIT Youngsters, which to be fair is their play style, but with that little HP, it can come to bite them a little bit. Despite that though, both teams are going to go investing, and Budapest 5 technically have the worst buy. Actually, they got the AWP out for Torsey thanks to those 4 picks and an M4 to back it up, but 3 SMGs versus 3 automatic rifles for GAMBIT Youngsters. They're going to lean in here to the A-bomb site.
And, well, this buy is looking incredible for the GAMBIT Youngsters. Yes, you've got that AWP for Torsey. And, well, he is at least rotating back to this A-bomb site to try and help the defenders. GAMBIT Youngsters, they've got a single lurk around that B apartment's underpass position, but it's going to be the play into the A-bomb site, and it all really comes off the back of these entries, whether they can find the opening kills, but it's not going to be them finding too much success. A couple of kills going the way of the CT side. It is a quick trade back coming out from Shiro as he gets 2 kills with the scout, and now into a 3-on-3. Axel slowly made his way up through connector, and he has not been seen at the moment. This could be a big play. He could try and see if he can cut off the B rotator in from the market player Badito, and GAMBIT Youngsters just trying to make their way onto the A bomb side, get that bomb down, and oh, the backstab. The backstab could be absolutely huge, but it needs to be timed right.
Axel's waiting passively for this moment, still being seen by Nafany here. GAMBIT Youngsters in their 3-on-3. The CTs are going to make their way out. Nafany with a spray back on Badito, takes him down. Contact play from Torsey, takes out 1. As Coolio makes his way into the opening, gets shut down by Axel, and Torsey's now seen. Nafany just got to play passive, and Axel swinging at the right moment. Great coordination there from GAMBIT Youngsters on the post plant. 1-all now as they respond to the pistol of Budapest 5.
And one thing I've certainly noticed in the past on this GAMBIT Youngster side is we just see a couple of rounds where they just look at Shiro and they say, just go kill. The fact that he gets 2 insane opening kills with a scout out of all weapons out from that main position is just ridiculous. And a lot of the time, they rely on Shiro to find those opening kills. The main AWPer for this side, he picks up the scout, he's their main carry, he puts up insane numbers day in, day out. And you've got to feel for Budapest 5. That was such an insane pistol round retake. They go into the second round, and they've now been reset.
Yeah, with such a heavy buy coming in from both sides as well, it would have offered such a devastating economy situation. See Budapest 5 back down on the force by Deagles out across all 5 CT players. A severe lack of utility as well. And of course, contrast that to the AWPs and the AKs, a full-blown setup here for the GAMBIT squad. And the mid-control being established easy. Pretty much uncontested here from Budapest 5. They will play 1 player out to the edge of the smoke over at the sniper's nest. This nade from Super ready to shut him down already. Doesn't quite land on point though, so a bit of a missed piece, which might allow a bit of map control here.
And one thing that GAMBIT Youngsters do a lot on the T side is they change up their pacing. On their defaults, they're normally incredibly slow. They try and run down the clock as much as they can, and we see that on maps like Overpass the most, but then they change it up and they have a quick set piece, they have a quick execution, so keep an eye out for the change of styles of pacing and for the GAMBIT Youngsters. They're taking the short control and looking to split into the B-bomb site.
Oh, Fleeve and Torzi. Torzi getting 2 kills there up on the short boost up, and now 4 versus 2. Suddenly an orb to fall in the hands of the CTs, and they've got bomb control as well. They know it's there on short. GAMBIT youngsters, 20 seconds to make their way out of the apartments. They have to save. And a single play from one CT aggressing will shut down the whole setup for GAMBIT youngsters. AKs can also get picked up, and this will be a second round to return here for Budapest 5.
Oh my goodness, what a return. GAMBIT youngsters, they slowed down the clock, they got that opening man advantage, and out of nowhere, Jay, it just seemed like these Deagles were finding so many kills out through mid. And, well, GAMBIT youngsters, they go, right, we just have to save. We have to hold on to these 2 AKs that we brought in from the last round. Now it's a case of, well, it's just force buying from both teams. We're going back and forth with the rounds. At Budapest 5, they're recovering that orb from the last round. They don't have to reinvest it.
Yeah, the rebuy is coming in, the scout out for Shiro as GAMBIT youngsters try and force around the 2 weapons I should say they had saved. The firepower right now on Budapest 5 is so good here. Fleeve can't land the first player jump facing around the corner of the mid position, and the Deagle from Nafty will take down a kill. 35 HP for the man out towards that mid position, and forced back in the end by the CTs who have control out here. The secondary smokes down to ensure that Sniper Possess is covered. The GAMBIT youngsters gain the man advantage here.
Oh, and Axel, this could be big. He's opened up B. They can just bring the bomb over now. 5 on 3. For Budapest 5, they probably even thinking about saving. They've got 2 players of this A bomb site. Petito's slowly making his way from market. But what can they really achieve here? They're in such a big disadvantage. And for GAMBIT youngsters, all it comes down to, as soon as Petito overextends, Axel's going to be able to take him down. There it is.
Didn't even need to overextend. Barely out the market door before Axel swings and takes that headshot. So Torzi and Corey left alone to save their weapons once again. Forced back another force buy here for Budapest 5, which, you know, as the case of the last 4 rounds have shown, the force buys are the most powerful buys here for these 2 teams. The GAMBIT youngsters hunting to take those weapons down, and Corey will take 1 player out for his trouble. It was only a Deagle lost. An M4, 2 AKs recovered. And yeah, confident second coming out from the GAMBIT youngsters.
And what the thing that's in the back of my mind, Jay, is how far are we going to go with this? How far are we going to just go back and forward rounds until a team's able to win 2 in a row? And GAMBIT youngsters, that was really simple. It was just individuals making plays. We saw the opening kill coming out from the Deagle from the mid pressure. Axel just walks out B, gets 2 fantastic kills. At Budapest 5, they now have to go for the save. And it's going to be another force buy from Budapest 5. The money line for both these teams has just been so awkward for the last few rounds.
I mean, that's what happens when you force up and lose to force buys.
Yeah.
It's unusual, but it is expected given the circumstances. So both teams are going to try break things here. Fleeve are going to take that early control out towards the short position. The AWP trying to time his shot well enough here at the end of the smoke. He's blinded off, and Super enough going to take a little bit of early damage. The T-side spread out and taking control. Smoke's in to try to suppress them here as they go a bit more passive here for Budapest 5.
CT side, not really looking for too much information at the moment. They do have a bit of a mid-triangle going on to see if they can spot out any information. Super is in actually a really nice position. If the B-side players around the apartments can kind of pull some attention away, that's going to allow Super to just walk into this short position and potentially catch a CT completely off guard. But for GAMBIT youngsters, it's just a straight execution into the B-bomb site.
5 on 5 still. We've got Axel so close to the CT side line. Takes out Coolio. A good frag into the follow through on Vegito. Fly-off peeks in, but can only go so far with that. Toolsy able to respond to a 3-on-2 scenario, and they are pretty tagged up here. Smoke on site, scope inwards short. Expecting there to be bomb site control, and indeed there is. A swing out on Super has got to go well. He actually takes out Inters instead as Nafty responds. There's all left to Corey. No kit, no utility for him. We'll peek up, see where Super is. Spray through, do almost enough damage here. I mean, damage has been done to GAMBIT youngsters, but they're not going to be able to lose that 3rd or 4th man, I should say. Corey moving out, 81 HP advantage. He gets the headshot, but can't turn around to the 2nd man. So the fact he got away with even that kill is impressive, but it will not lead to a round for Budapest 5. GAMBIT youngsters are going to take the lead and probably reset the buy here.
one thing that Budapest 5 are really struggling a lot at the moment is holding the sites. We've seen pretty much every round, Jay. It's been retake scenarios. So you've got to think for Budapest 5, they need to focus on, right, how can we start to shut down the site defensive? Because what's happening time and time again is Gambit youngsters are finally opening kills. They're taking down the side defenders. They're getting that bomb plant. And Budapest 5 are just consistently retaking. They've got to think, right, do we need a change up? Do we need to get more aggressive? Do we need to try and find an opening pick? What's the change up for the Hungarians? We'll have to wait until we find out to the next round once we get the rifles in. But for Gambit youngsters, this should be them going up 4-2. It's a gamble stack over at the A bomb site with the USPs. You can't really expect for them to find too many kills.
Aggression is their best bet, and Inter's just tapping to heads. Easy pickings against Corey and Torzy. Couldn't find Coolio, unfortunately. He'll go close to it, but unable to get those frags. Backed up USPs into the open. Flea with one good frag on Nafane, but he's the last player holding on the B bomb, so they're going to have to get some backup in very quickly towards market. They were all spotted on the short area, so info gained by the CTs, but they just can't do much with it. The firepower just isn't there. No utility to try to turn an advantage to their favor. So the best they can do is just go down, try to take some players with them, which they will get Nafane for one good pick, but 4 alive all in all. Gambit youngsters. The economy builds and Budapest 5 back up to another force rifle buy.
And Tortsy on this AWP, I mean, look at the impact he's been able to find so far in this early stage of Mirage. 10 kills and just 3 deaths. He's been able to do a hell of a lot with that AWP, but he needs to get a little bit of support. And I don't mean that in terms of like teammates flashing for him and trying to set him up for plays, but he needs support from his teammates to be able to find impact in terms of kills. Make it easier for Tortsy to be able to make his work do with this AWP. And no mid control coming out for the CT side, and well, Gambit youngsters, they've taken it extremely quickly.
And not much resistance being held up by B5 at the moment. We have one player in the mid position. The contact spray from Flea will do damage to Axel, but they will get the kill onto him here. Super also seeing Vedito spraying through the scaffolding, taking out the backup player, leaving it all to Corey now towards the ramp. They suspect it. He does take out Nafe, but now they've got 3 more players that can get the trades. Nades on doing damage to the man, 33 HP. Molotov's also coming in to try to force him out. He'll burn alive eventually. Shiro gets Coolio also quick to the rotation. And Torzy, last man standing in a 1-on-4. Spotted now, forced to fall away and save Gambit youngsters. Efficient on the hit.
Yeah, look, that was a really nice round from Gambit youngsters, and it was very simple. It was take mid control extremely quick, and you can see that they're doing their homework, Jay. You can absolutely see that. Man, it's just really easy Counter-Strike. It is very simple Counter-Strike. The fact that they just run out from mid, because they know that Budapest 5 aren't taking mid control. They are not taking any kind of mid.
A tactical pause here for Budapest 5. The lead right now for the Gambit youngsters seems to be pretty confident at this moment here, Dweg.
You got to think, like, 5-2, right? They've been able to finally win some rounds in a row. They're looking very confident. And I don't want to say, like, it's going to continue, but it's certainly looking, at least in the playstyle from Gambit youngsters, they're looking really dominant on a lot of these rounds, at least last 3 in particular. And for Budapest 5, they haven't been able to put up a majority of a fight just yet.
A very confident execution coming out from the T side here as Budapest 5 can't really do much with their on right. The resistance held the 5-on-4. The CT is getting overwhelmed by the rifles as you would expect. The Deagle's out, the P250. Nothing that they can really do from here. I mean, there's lack of Kevlar, lack of utility. Smoke's up, Shearer's ready for any more frags, and yeah, anything they can get out of this will be a bonus, but all things considered, this is going to be an easy 6 for Gambit youngsters, and again, just very coordinated and confident with their control. Against an anti-eco, you know, it is what it is, but If you can keep up with the rifle rounds, then we should be seeing much more confidence coming out from this T-side line. So far, a very confident start from GAMBIT youngsters.
Yeah, look, it certainly is, and I think it's a great response. Again, what we saw from them in the quarterfinals last week was not impressive, and you certainly got to think that going into this, they've got to start positive, they've got to be able to get into the right mindset, and certainly they are so far. The money line's looking really great from them. They're up 6-2. And for Budapest 5, this is going to be really difficult to be able to finally get a rifle back, to be able to get back into some momentum. And, well, they're going for double orbs, Jay, so at least that is a way that they're able to turn things around.
An opportunity now for the Budapest 5 side to really get started. It has taken quite a bit of time, though. They have sort of been overwhelmed, the force buys back and forth between both teams. And, you know, the situation currently being in the favor of GAMBIT youngsters, as they have taken full control. So, see if they can try and shut them down back here. But the economy has now built for the T side. So we're not in the same sort of reset territory as we were in the first few rounds of the game here.
Yeah, look, things are certainly a little bit different now in terms of the economy, but for Budapest 5, for them at least, I'd like to just see a little bit more control being taken. It seems like on the City side, they're playing very passive. They're playing very deep into the sides. They're not really fighting out through mid. A lot of the time, GAMBIT youngsters are just taking mid control so easily. They're putting Supra in around that ladder position about 3 or 4 rounds out of the first 8 that we've seen, and honestly, it's giving too much control to the T side. It's giving them too much map presence. It's allowing for them to cut off rotators too easily. So for Budapest 5, we need to see a change up in them trying to take some sort of control, or at least just trying to fight out through mid.
The tech pause over. Budapest 5 in with a double up setup, as we mentioned before. And AUG for Coolio making 3 scopes total over on that T side. The same setup of the single AWP for AK to GAMBIT youngsters, and a setup that's worked pretty well for them. And of course, a special shout out to our case partners in Hellcase. You can use codes MultiV and MultiV15 with some extra money and refill bonuses. Only at hellcase.com. GAMBIT youngsters taking first face in Torsey with the Orberator shut down Supra. He's also there with a flashbang corner. He's right around that corner, but still the Orb lands a second pick on for potentially a third on Inters. 5 on 3 already gained by Budapest 5. Shiro's desperate to try and recover something back here, but nothing is going to be seen. Nothing's going to go his way.
Oh, what an opening coming out for the Budapest 5 side. The Hungarians go, right, let's see if we can establish some sort of crossfire towards that ramp position. 2 fantastic kills going the way of Tortzi, and even for Axel, the lurk over at B, he gets taken down. This round's pretty much all shut out, and it's off the back of trying to take some control, trying to take an early fight to the T-sided players. And, well, this round's looking great. It's looking absolutely sensational for the CTs.
Lovely stuff there from the M4s, and of course the AWP of Torsey managing to get 2 picks despite the flashbangs coming in against him. This will be a 1 on 5 now for Shiro. Not really much of a chance to deny anything against Budapest 5. And a big response to 5 of the 6 rounds that GAMBIT youngsters have found so far. A third should be on the board of the B5 squad. And yeah, you know, to keep 5 players in, to keep the double up setup in play as well. Confident stuff to come through from the CTs. The question really is, can they convert it over to another good round? You can see that they know that their economy is still on shaky territory here. And that's obviously key reason number 1, but obviously reason why they're not going to go for the fight back here. They're going to go hunting onto Shiro's position. Save his AWP, keep it back here towards the top mid stack. Security's an extra weapon into the next round for GAMBIT youngsters, and they got money, so you know it's a little bit critical of why you do that, but it also makes sense not to throw it away. They don't know about that second AWP there, so a free double AWP setup would not be advisable to the Budapest 5 side, but GAMBIT youngsters can reinvest it. AK's coming through. Going to try to see if they can deny the connection.
And you've got to think, for GAMBIT youngsters, this is the perfect opportunity to strike. You're up against what is probably the most perfect buy on the CT side. And you've got 3 AKs, you've got double orbs, full utility, kits across the board. It is a superb buy. And GAMBIT youngsters, rather than going for a default, they're setting themselves up for an A-take. And Tortzi, he's very aggressive. This could be the opening stance the CTs need.
Orb out for Torzi, seeing that first player and backing off immediately as he can't land that shot. Budito there with the backup AWP. Molotov's in, Inters makes his way out as Super falls first. And still Inters in the midst of the smoke. Did they hear him? Did they know that he's here? He's got so much CT presence to worry about. Some players point blank, one player with a ninja spot being spotted out with a spray through. Inters takes down a 4-on-4. Orb still here towards Dark, quick scope in, takes out Inters, looks back in towards Sandwich where Nafany will take that headshot right back. So trade's going well for Gambit Youngsters to keep this at evens, but Flav has other ideas. Taking out Nafany next up, flashes in for Budito looking onto the Palace area, and Axel's got no way out, neither does Shiro with the bomb. They might have to rethink a rotation, but 2-on-2 is still workable here for the Gambit side.
There's a lot of options for them. They can decide to back off and see if they can go out through mid, but it's actually going to be a fake. We see Shiro backed off around towards that ramp position. He's actually going to back up Axel in the Palace position, but the CTs, they've got a bit of information. Coolio was able to aggress, spot out Axel, but he needs a little bit of help. He needs his teammate Budito to try and assist.
30 seconds left. Axel messing around the corner with the AWP. The Orb trying to boost himself up past the dumpster area as Axel drops in and gets Coolio. Shiro gets the headshot on Budito, and very quick work there from Gambit Youngsters to turn 7-3 over on that T-side board. Budapest 5. And that was the main worry for them there, losing that conversion off the back of a good rifle round. And M4's coming in with the Orb of Torzi. Heavy, heavy investment, and it looks very, very light in certain cases.
And you mentioned what last round, you know, how much it means for their economy not to go hunting, and they're going to get such a perfect buy. Now that they've lost that, look at the buy going forward into round 11. Yeah, they've got the M4s out, hardly any utility, and they're going for something different. It's aggression up towards top mid. It is a 1-for-1 trade. It doesn't really work out for the CTs. It is at least back into a 3-on-3.
That much at least, but Axel finding an easy trade. Fleeve gets only a kill on Inters before the trade responds from Shiro as well. So Torzi left alone, and the bomb going to make his way back out of A. They saw it where it was dropped, with no one there to cover it off, and for it to get recovered by the T side, they can rotate back to the B bomb site, which is what the plan seems to be here. Both players coming up to the apartments, and the trades back and forth. The Gambit Youngsters gaining the initial man advantage means that they will come out on top here as the dust settles. Still a minute to go to the clock, so there's a chance for Torzi to get this retake together, but a 1-on-2 with the Orb. No kit for him either. I don't know if there was any dropped in the mid position. Regardless, it's still going to be a tough little effort.
You know when you put down like a plate of food in front of a dog and it just like runs at the food? That's like what Gambit Youngsters are as soon as action happens. They are so quick at finding trade kills, and that's one of their biggest elements of success, Jay, is that as soon as a player goes down, they are so quick to trade it back, and that's what Budapest 5 are struggling with at the moment. They keep getting these, like, you know, opening man advantages, then they lose it into a 4-on-4, then it's like a 4-on-3, then it's a 3-on-3. They're never able to hold on to a man advantage, and that's what's struggling to win out these rounds, is that they're never really holding on to anything, which is going to help them later into the round.
Eight to the T side board. And Gambit Youngsters going to take the half as the Orb tries to get saved into the next round. Another chance for the force by perhaps the Budapest 5. I mean, the money is going to be so weakened that it might again show its little cracks here and there. The lack of utility, the FAMAS coming through from Coolio is the most standout point, but even so far as Budito and Fleeve having no utility whatsoever. 2 full sets, smoke and a incendiary for Coolio, but nothing for the other two, and well, that's going to hurt Budapest 5 so much more than even the firepower. The early stack into the apartments coming through. Gambit Youngsters, their heart set on the B site, and I just don't think Budapest 5 can hold off against it, especially when the only player here, the only defender here is a FAMAS. Is aggressive, actually makes it work against Axel, got Inters next up and Super around the corner. 2 kills, 3 kills for Coolio. How has he managed all this?
Gambit Youngsters, that's just poor play. Why they're peeking into that smoke like that? They should have just given up the 5-on-4. They should have given up the man advantage. They kept trying to fight, and they kept pushing through that smoke. The FAMAS is just so ready for it. And for Gambit Youngsters, they just get caught off guard on timing. They're setting themselves up for a B play. We can see the utility being lined up, and Coolio just pushes through at the exact right time. He actually survives from that molly at just 1 HP. At Budapest 5, an individual pretty much wins out that whole round for them, and it's not even over yet.
I mean, how did GAMBIT youngsters lose all that to one man and a FAMAS is the main question. No flash support, nothing there from... I mean, they had full sets of utility across the board. They still got flashes in on the 2 players alive. And Coolio on 1 HP. He's ready for a quick headshot then to get back out of that boost-up position. Got 2 teammates to trade on him, grab the AKs that were dropped there in apps. All on the 2 players coming out of here. The AWP could give another free double AWP setup. Nafni does catch Bedito. That's 1 good kill. Need to find Coolio next up, checking out all the common positions. The smoke coming down, looking onto face. Nafni gets out Corey. AWP in. Torzy takes him down, and Nafni left alone here. Coolio will swing and get his kill. 4 kills for him, but an unacceptable round for me and GAMBIT youngsters.
Yeah, look, it certainly is. And I don't know whether that's just like overconfidence or what that was, but why they kept pushing in 1 by 1. You're right, they had 4 utility sets. They could have flashed themselves into the angle, but no, instead they just keep pushing. They keep trying to trade out, and well, Coolio, that's a monster hold. That's a huge round going the way of Budapest 5. But every time they win a round, Jay, they can't say, oh yeah, you know, finally we've reset the T side, because the money line is just so strong for GAMBIT youngsters. And what an instant response. Shiro to find the opening kill, Fleeve going down. And for Budapest 5, that's where they've struggled, is that they haven't won rounds on a consistent basis. It's never been 2 in a row for them.
This could really damage the economy state of the CT side going into the last couple of rounds of the half, obviously. Economy is going to be a little bit less of an important factor this late into the CT side, but you know, to have no buy-ups or force buys coming in for round 14 and 15 only gives advantages for GAMBIT youngsters. Opening man advantage, trade back from Corey, does drop Nafani next, going to swing in against Super, it drops down. Molotov in, flash over, Super will quickly take his head off his shoulders, so 2-for-1 trade favor to GAMBIT youngsters. Bedito is going to try find one more in the mid position with Coolio. The AK out here on the bomb site, Axel's ready for it, takes him down, open up, plant can be secured, 4 on 2.
And this has to be another save, you've got to think, for the City side. There's no way they can go for this, considering that they're just out of position to try and retake this B bomb side. There's no one close to short, no one close around market. And yeah, Tortsi and Bedito, they're just opting to go for the save. Bring these weapons into the following round. Man, Budapest 5 are having such a difficult time in converting more than 1 round at a time. GAMBIT youngsters, I've got to be honest, I certainly saw this being a bit of a one-sided affair, but not this kind of convincing. Like, yeah, Budapest 5 have been able to put up 4 rounds, but you've got to think, if you look at all the rounds that have been played so far, GAMBIT youngsters have been in control for most of this first half.
And that control has led to this situation here. Nine to the board, potentially an 11-4 half could still go the way of the GAMBIT side. Budapest 5, force back, we'll see the rifles coming in for them. They need to make this round work if they want to have a stable buy going into round 15. The aggression already coming through from the AWP. Hoping to get something out here to connect to AKs moving up. Torzy blinded off by smoke. Seeing Super as the first bit of utility comes in, flashes and smokes over. Nafi's going to try and hunt him down. Does see the man, does take him out, but a swing out from Fleeve will keep the trades going the way of the CT camp.
Oh, Shiro, why? Like, sometimes GAMBIT youngsters make just really questionable plays. The fact that he just wide swings with an AWP out from Palace while being smoked to just see if he can get an advantage back, and it seems like that's probably one of the biggest weaknesses, I would say, for GAMBIT youngsters. It's just questionable decisions. We saw that at the apartments, you know, just swinging in 1 by 1, trying to force the issue, and they've done it again. At Budapest 5, they get a fantastic opening stance. They get that opening kill with the AWP out through con. They try and fall back. It's a couple of trades here and there. And GAMBIT youngsters just forcing mistakes coming through.
They have had the advantage so far in this half, but that could all start to change as we look towards the 15th round here. Whether or not that momentum swing will go back to the favor of Budapest 5 going into their T side is yet to be seen. 1-on-3 now for Axel to see if he can make this clutch work. And if he does, he'll go to take Corey here, hearing those footsteps taking him down. And Malta on towards Palace, not expecting the AWP to be here towards CT. He knows now, though. He's got no further utility. Going to plant open for ramp. A little bit suspect down to the open positions there. A peek in from Connector could have shut him down easily. They're both going to come from jungle here. Axel's got his back turned to this position. Bedito looking on Axel. I think he's back behind the boxes. No, he's not. He's in front of it instead. And that's going to cost him out in the open, expecting there to be CT aggression. There was not. And it'll be 5 rounds on the board for Budapest. 5 Gambit youngsters. One final round of this half, one final buy in this half to try and maintain double digits.
And at least they're able to get a buy through, you know, going into the last round of the half. It always sucks when you've been able to put up a good performance and then kind of have a bit of a weak buy going into that last round. But the economy state's been so strong for them for pretty much all 15 rounds. And they're able to get a very good buy, and they get Shiro up on the AWP, AKs across the board. And for Budapest 5, well, they are running the double orbs coming out from Torzi and Bedito. Again, going into this relatively passive mid stance from the CT side, not really trying to look for any kind of an opening fight outside of Fleeve towards Connector. Actually does a hell of a lot of damage onto Shiro, so that is at least a good opportunity to take down Shiro early in the round.
Doesn't quite finish the job, unfortunately, though. 15 HP, he stays alive to fight another day. Reposition back passive in the mid position, give the bomb over to Inters, which is a very smart call as well. 1 minute and 13 to the clock. Super flashed round. Good kill coming in for Bedito. I think I had a collat on Inters as well.
Yep.
10 HP for the man. Not quite a kill against him, but Bedito eventually does fall to Axel here in the apartments campaign. Shiro gets Coolio, so the rotator of Fleeve. Only player left. Axel seen him. Shiro get called out. The AWP pick comes through, and the orb also spotted at market. Torzi to try and lock them down to the cross. Both players are extremely low. A good flash in. Blind shot's not going to come through, and Shiro shuts him down. It's all left to Corey. Faced into the AWP. 4 picks for Shiro all in all. 15 HP, and that doesn't bother him in the slightest. 10-5 half for Gambit youngsters.
And just look at those numbers. Budapest 5, Torzi 15 and 8. Where are his teammates? Where is the assistance that we were talking about a little bit earlier in that first half? That it just wasn't there. I mean, yeah, I suppose you can make the comparison to Gambit youngsters of Shiro and Axel putting up big numbers, and the rest of them have, you know, all across 8. But the fact is, Gambit youngsters are winning rounds. Budapest 5 aren't. And it seems like Torzi's the only one that's having this massive amount of impact. Yeah, we saw that big round from Coolio where he got 4 kills. You think, okay, you know, that was a big round, but he got 4 kills in 1 round. What about the other 14?
Budapest 5, they do come out on top here in the first half, and going into their CT side, it may be a positive omen. Gambit youngsters. The defuse kit will come through for Nafany with a double flash, and the utility set up here for Budapest 5 now. Trying to go for the standard A execution, this time with 3 smokes as opposed to the standard 2 you see on pistols, so CT spawn can also get covered off. The connect to jungle and stairs smokes go out, super out towards CT. Going to see that 3rd smoke coming in here? Not quite, actually. Fleeve hasn't thrown it out. Either way, the cross comes through. They do force the lone CT back. A bomb plant down now onto the A bomb site, and Budapest 5 will gain a chance here.
And they actually re-smoked top connector. They actually held onto that 3rd smoke rather than trying to get that CT smoke down. And that's going to allow the T side to get control out towards jungle position. But the numbers game, it's already falling apart for the Ts. Corey just caught well in the open, and it's all down to Saucy and Bedito to try and bring it back. They have been able to get a couple of kills, and the bomb is planted for the T side, but the numbers game is still here for Gambit youngsters into the 2-on-2. They're making this work on the T side. Nafany is just going to try and stick that bomb, get a body to defend him. Oh, the Glock's coming through, and the bomb's going to get defused. Torzi was so close to denying that defuse, but in the end, another round for Gambit youngsters. It's a bomb plan for Budapest 5, and unfortunately, they just didn't have enough players alive.
Inters knew exactly what he had to do. Body block, stop the kill from coming through, and secure the 11th for Gambit youngsters. The pistol round for Gambit youngsters, most importantly. Very, very well played there on that CT part of things, and Well, bomb plant will see Budapest 5 force investing, getting a rifle or two out. But that was not a round that they would have hoped to have lost here in that one. Could have been all theirs. Could have been seeing a 6-10 chance now for the T side to come back into it. Another execution coming in towards the A bomb site with the utility out here. CT smoke will go blooming eventually. Is the connected jungle instead. Smokes go up. M4 lines up a kill, but Torsey comes back with two more. Scout in looking for a pick back on the man. He's on 2 HP. A single bullet would land, but 4 versus 3 here. I think that second kill from Torsey actually was a TK now thinking about it, because the trades have worked better for Gambit youngsters. I didn't even notice. Yeah,
no, I was trying to figure that out as well, and I was thinking that it had to be a TK coming out that ends up making that 4 and 3. But the problem here is that there was a player towards stairs on the CT side, I believe it was Inters, that heard them backing off from ramp, and that's actually allowed the FAMAS from Axel to start to aggress up towards top mid. Yes, he hasn't heard any footsteps, but you've got to think for the T side, he's in a great position, or I should say, sorry, around the B apartments rather than top mid, but he's in a great position to at least get information to say, right, they're not going B. We know that they were around A ramp. The only position they can really have rotated to has to be mid now.
22 seconds, and Budapest 5 will find a line into the B bomb site. There's not really much that the CTs can do to stop this bomb plant from here. It's going to have to come through. And the plant secured. Gambit youngsters up for a retake. Flashes in as Shiro and Inters try to set themselves up. The firepower is limited here for the CT camp. Still going to go forward. 2 lining up. Coolio taking out Inters and Nafany. A big mistake called out there. Now to a 2-on-2. Axel turns around on one player. Turn on Fleeve. Now the Shiro, the last man standing, grabbing one of the rifles and saving it here because there's no way, no time, no utility, no kit, and no 12th for Gambit youngsters.
Okay, well, that's actually a really nice round coming out from Budapest 5, and they bring that back after being in a man disadvantage, and it just comes off the back of a bit of timing. Coolio swings, 2 players line up out through market. They're able to play the numbers game, and Shiro just opts to try and go for the save. There's no way that he can go for it. And this is what, twice now, that in the first half and the second half, Jay, we saw the pistol round going to one side and the anti-eco going to another. We saw a Budapest 5 winning pistol in the first half, losing that second round. They lose the pistol and now win the anti-eco. So it seems like it's a repeat to the first half in a bit of a reverse order.
A forced investment from Gambit youngsters to try and return fire here. I mean, obviously, if they are able to win the next, force buy round, then that means they can get some extra rifles. They force Budapest 5 to go for another force back, and then we go back to the war of attrition. And with this kind of, scoreline deficit, Gambit youngsters, if they are able to engage in that kind of war, then they're the likely ones to win it. Not just the attrition basis, but also the map basis. They can tip past the edge of the finish line first, so... Best call given the circumstances, but early contact doesn't see any damage coming in, with the exception of the minimal amounts on Nafany and Fleeve. Underparts control, mid control, palace control from the CT side coming through, and Gambit youngsters generally aggressive across their entire defensive line.
This is a very different style of play than how Budapest 5 were on the CT side. We're seeing them, like you said, very aggressive. They're looking to try and take the fight. Super might get caught off, so that's why he's decided to fall back. But the intent's there to at least try and take the fight in the early round. We're getting closer to the clock running down, close to that 30-second mark, and it's just going to be a play into the A bomb side. Super just trying to see if he could take down Fleeve, denying any kind of palace control.
Nafany back here, passive at the ticket booth area. Going to wait for the T side to make their way up. Spot one tight angle on Badito and take him down. Smoke up will force him back, but Shiro's already ready to boost his player up above it here. No default position or danger box plants. Is open out for the connector area instead. And Super backing up. Fleeve is ready for this good tag onto the man, but he gets the kill alongside Corey getting Nafany down at CT spawn. Second player on the backstab though. Are they ready for this? Yes, they are. Fleeve swings, takes another headshot. Shiro left alone with the FAMAS. Backed up into the corner at ticker booth. 1-on-4 for him. Looking to be a 7th for Budapest 5.
Okay, look, this is their opportunity to really start to claw the rounds through. In particular, Fleeve is a player that I would say is one of the strongest players for this Hungarian side, and he's been a slow performer, or a slow beginner, I should say, on Mirage, but he's certainly starting to come into his own, looking incredibly sharp, looking very impactful. And you've got to think for Gambit youngsters, considering they forced into that last round, they're going to have to completely eco. Should be no investments coming through. And for Budapest 5, this is now a great opportunity. Build up the economy, get some good rounds coming through, get that Mac 10 onto Coolio just to see if you can build up some bank. That will allow the AWP to come out from Torzi in the next round. No problem in terms of the economy status. Build up the bank and build up these rounds. That's what they'll be looking to do.
Well, back to the A-site execution here, and when you see enough of these, you should be seeing the stacks coming out from the Gambit youngsters eventually. They should start to realize that, hey, there's going to be a lot of presence out here in the early round. The execution is likely, so let's put a couple more players on this position, see if we can try and shut them down, especially in a round like this where they haven't got much to work with. The loss bonus going to start ticking over to see some force bias coming in eco status for them, so, you know, at that stage, just like, hey, play to the site they're likely to hit. Super going to be the first man to fall, though, as the AKs do manage to overwhelm. No major damage sustained by Budapest 5. Establish their control over the site, looking to back off and keep all their weapons in check, as you mentioned. And not really much damage coming through from the CTs.
Not really much at all. Sure, last one left, P250 out. Just seeing if he can find any kind of a kill, but Budapest 5. That utility going down to the A-bomb site pretty much locked any kind of presence out. It forced Gambit youngsters to play behind the smokes. And, well, weaponry advantage just comes through. Shiro seeing if he can do anything. But in the end, going to die to the bomb. Going to take no one down with him. So it's going to be an 8th round up for Budapest 5. And you've got to think, yeah, look, this is an opportunity for... Wait, that can't quite be right. I would say that those odds would be a little bit closer, Jay.
Well, I mean, given the comebacks to come through right now for Budapest 5, you would certainly expect it. Maybe they mistook the the rounds on the board as the actual odds over at Lugbet. I don't know. Oh, I'm sure you can find some updated odds over on the website. And again, 10 free CSGO spins plus €100 bonus on your deposit by going through the banner below the Twitch channel. Do the CT set up with their stack towards A. It's funny, I mentioned that in the last round. Like, they should go for a stack on A, and as soon as they do, they go for a beast execution. Axel looking for a knife kill. What? Oh, how did he get away with that? Budapest 5 conceding money back to the CT side, and that's the most important thing for them here.
That's actually really nice coming out from Axel, and they could have bought into that round. They certainly had enough money to go for it, but they want to get a good buy-in. They want to get that AWP through. They want to make sure they're having full sets of utility. And, well, that knife really helps things. Like, they would have been able to get enough money to get Shiro on that AWP, but now we can see Axel dropping it over and kind of helping out the bank across the side. They're able to get 2 kills, so they're at least limiting the buy going into the next round for Budapest 5. They'll be able to get the rifles through, but it does mean that a couple of players will have to reinvest. And they pick up an AKJ. So all in all, this is actually a massively successful round, I would say, for Gambit youngsters. Oh, they get more. Take an AK.
Done. AK gets out of dodge as well. 2 rifles picked up. That's going to do wonders for the economy. A knife kill and 2 free AKs here. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to justify a double AWP setup here on this CT camp. They won't do it this time. Shiro goes ahead and picks that up pretty easy there with the M4s to back it all up. So Gambit youngsters not in the best of positions. You know, could have certainly been better, but I understand why they've gone for the buy that they have. Meanwhile, the T-side money is going to look to be a little bit exhausted. The AK swing from Nathaniel, way too inaccurate for the spray. Moving and shooting doesn't work out in Counter-Strike. And Nade's on to do even further damage to Bedito, so they will lose a man advantage, but they will gain a HP advantage.
Oh, that was very sloppy spray coming out from Nathani, and you really can't be, you know, being able to bring out things like that, especially at this kind of a level in Counter-Strike, especially in this kind of best of one. And that's a huge advantage for Budapest 5 to work with. That was aggression out through connector on the CT side. They've taken the mid control, and even for Super, if there's just a wide swing from Fleeve, that pretty much opens up this A bomb side because Gambit youngsters have got a very heavy B stack, and it's going to take them quite some time to get into positions to try and assist the A defender.
Oh, two players lining up here for Axel. He's got one player, two frags, not quite three, but Corey trades it back to a 3-on-3, still very doable for the CTs on the bomb site. Supra barely staying alive back here over at the dark position. Does get taken out in the end by trying to back up over to the cinder blocks. Giro facing with the AWP. Corey doesn't know that he's here, or at least didn't hear the scope out. He'll hear the shot though. Kill coming back 2-on-2. M4 for Inters knows that they're going to make their way up here. They have no choice. They haven't got time to rotate. Bomb plant, Coolio. Safe from CT spawn, not from connector, but the spray will still come through top of ticket booth. Man goes down. Shero rotated back though. He's got to try to backstab into the market area. Potentially from the sniper's nest. Time is ticking and this AWP is watching. They know that he's going to be somewhere out here and connected with the bases of the bomb plant. Jump facing info to look for. Sure, with a smoke down. That's the smartest play. They can go for a defuse. Shots not quite connecting. Blind firing. And Sure going to peek straight through this one. Jump around it. Get that headshot. Get the defuse in for GAMBIT. Youngsters are 12th on the CT board.
Do they recover the double AWP setup? I'm just wondering whether they decide to go for it. One thing the GAMBIT youngsters, they don't really double AWP all too often, and yeah, look, they're opting against it. They realize, okay, look, the one AWP, it's working okay for us. Let's just continue that way. But I would say that Axel pretty much wins that round all by himself. The fact that he gets two massive kills there and brings a chance for GAMBIT youngsters on that retake. Some great crossfires being set, and even without a kit, Jay, they didn't panic. They slowed it right down. They forced the AWP to try and make some mistakes out through connectors, smoking them off and getting a 12th round up for the Russian side. Even the aggression from Nafany, we saw it out through Con in that last round. Now it's towards top mid.
Look at the M4 aggression. Missed out on the AWP shot. He only gets a tag on Nafany. Corey will find that trade though, so a 5-on-4 situation ensues. And again, GAMBIT youngsters working off the back of this man disadvantage for them. Did it well in the last round here with the damage done to Fleeve. But only one player tradable as opposed to two, so it's not going to be the easiest of affairs here. GAMBIT youngsters going to have to face off against the execution of the B-bomb site. Got Axel and Inters to defend this one. A boost up from Axel as well. They won't know that he's here. This M4 slowly pushing up, but will not extend so far as to gain all the apartments control. AK Event is jump facing as well. He's going to try and bait them in, so they might make their way out, assuming that the balcony position is safe. So one man out here, they're seeing so much utility, he backs off. M4 lets Coolio cross. Corey out the gate, they're going to let him cross as well. Two players line up, M4 drops, so does the bomb. Big time stall, but 2-on-2. Inter still on site, they haven't detected him. Corey goes down, Torzi with a trade back. 1-on-1 now against Supra. Bomb can get planted, but it all comes up to timing from his lone CT. Flashbang and defuse kit for him. Torzi looking to get the bomb plant out or not. Seen now by the M4, but the AK sees him as well. And the timing on the face away just not quite right here for Supra. Seeing Torzi now, he knows he's in the market area, so the plant can come through from the short position. Supra moving up, AK not looking the right way, and Supra wins out the fight and wins out the round.
Oh my goodness, another big clutch coming out from GAMBIT youngsters, and these last couple of rounds have been incredibly close, Jay. They're really down to the wire. Supra just making sure that he recovers that AWP and getting onto the bomb, defusing to get a 13th. And you look at the money line for Budapest 5 and you go, right, Corey's got money, so does Torzi, but for a few players, there isn't really a massive amount of money. Budapest 5 putting up, I would say, a tremendous performance so far in this second half, looking so much better than on their CT side. And even those last two rounds, yeah, they didn't go their way, but they were so damn close, and we really could have been looking at a tied scoreline if things just went a little bit different.
Budapest 5, quickly they execute towards this B-bomb site. There's no one actually really here. Inter's backed up over at the bench position. Mac-10's making their way out, and he prematurely fires, gives up his position as Torzi gets Nafany, Corey gets Inter's, Axel last to face, seeing that bomb, but the timing is all over the place here for GAMBIT youngsters. Two left standing as they just weren't ready for the fast execution. They're saving, they have no choice.
That was really weird. That was just a a very unorthodox hold, to say the least, from Gambit youngsters. Like you said, it just seemed like they weren't ready for a quick execution at that B bomb site. A lot of the time for Budapest 5, it hasn't been kind of any rush plays or anything fast, but they just set up simple utility. They go pretty quickly into that B bomb site, and for Gambit youngsters, they're just positioned awfully, to say the least. They've got a player out towards bench, one out to short. They're so far apart to deal with the B commitment. And the entries are fantastic. We see some really great opening kills. The defensive hold, again, some sloppy shots coming out. A thing that we've noticed from Gambit youngsters over the course of this best of one. Yeah, they've been able to win a lot of rounds, but we've seen a couple of individual mistakes, and we certainly saw that at the B bomb site.
Three rounds the difference here between Budapest 5 and Gambit youngsters. This T side has turned up. But the rebuy back from the Gambit squad could lead to another opportunity, presenting it to them here. AWP in M4's out, Molotovs from Fleef will come through towards that top mid position. Super with a flashbang over as well, or setting it up at least. And now the T's go out to the execution towards the A site. And it feels like Gambit youngsters have just got the wrong reads round after round here. Smoke does get body blocked here. Super's got a bit of a gap to work with, but no one's going to make their way out of Palace. Boost up from the AWP to try find the T side players as they cross with Super. First casualty by the AWP of the T side. Axel will find one towards underpass, but it's only the main T side forces coming through. Nafany spraying through on Coolio, drops him. Shiro gets Corey over at the upper Palace position. And now two left standing for Budapest 5. AWP for Torzi falls back up behind Tetris as Axel will fall, but Dio finds trades. Torzi gets one, he's the last man standing. 3 picks to his name against Shiro, point blank, hearing the footstep down. Quick scope not connecting with the CT player, still scopes up, gets a second shot, and gets a 14th round for Gambit.
Oh, of course it's Shiro. Of course it's Shiro to be able to clutch out a massive round coming out from Gambit youngsters. And you're absolutely right. They are really not having the best of reads in terms of shutting it down. The protocols to lock down these executions have been very weak for the Gambit youngsters. It's the retake where they really come into their own. They boost a player up in towards that jungle position. They get a great sight line onto Palace. The spam comes through once that bomb's planted. And for Budapest 5, they brought it into a one-on-one after a 2-on-4 post plan. But unfortunately, maybe if they had a third player, then it would have been possible. But they lost too many players once that bomb went down. And they're going to take a timeout to talk things over. Torsi has put up, I would say, one of the best performances I've seen from him in months. 26 kills and 13 deaths. He has probably kept them in the game, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, this map should have been over a long time ago, but him stepping up to the fold has provided a major opportunity for BP5. But will it be enough to turn another upset for this Hungarian roster? It'd be fantastic if they could. Only looking to face off against LDLC in our winners matchup. Of course, that just came through, that result going 16-8 to the favor of the Frenchman. So fate left to decide another yes on Vertigo. Believe it or not.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, that's a bit of a surprise. I thought you were going to say, oh, you know, 16-8 to fate. Wow, okay. So the winner of this game is going to take on LDLC in that winners match just after this in the best of 3. Wow, that's... I think for both these teams, they'll be very surprised, whoever comes out as a winner.
We're now going to focus on the challenge that's right in front of them here. And the CT to Gambit youngsters will try and wrap around towards the B-side defensive. Budapest 5 will make their way onto the apartments and try to see if they can tip over an 11th round. 48 seconds to the clock, and Inters will jump face around the apartments, hoping to catch off somebody from the T side, known for being given up. And again, Budapest being very careful about when they take their face, when the execution comes through, and how much information they got in between those positions, because they know that Inters and Axel can strike. 2 picks come back for the T's, but Torzi left alone 1-on-3. He won't connect his kill shot to Shiro, tag shot, but he stays alive to close out the round. Get us on map and match point here for Gambit youngsters.
15 to 10, Budapest 5. It just seems as if these last few rounds have really slipped away from them. And you even look at the buy they're going to be able to put up in what could potentially be the last round of Mirage. What a great hold coming out. We've certainly criticized the Gambit youngsters of their holds on the bomb sides, but Inters does such a great job to shut that down and get a 15th up for the Russian side.
And will this be the beginning of the end for Budapest 5? They've got a force buy back with pistols. Look at how quickly Torsey makes his way into the sniper's nest, though. This is a backstab they're not expecting right here. Deagle out several defined. 2 picks have gone the way of the CT side, making it 3 with Axel doubling up. So they've been dismantled towards mid regardless, and I don't know how much Torsey can do from here. He's got a major positional advantage if they had some T-side players to work with, and sure, and as he looks the wrong way, Super will take him down. It's all left to Coolio. 1 on 5 for the man. And this should be the end of the map here. 16 to 10 for Gambit youngsters making their way into the winners match. A bit more of a challenge than what we expected from them, but a victory for the Russian side nonetheless.
And 16 to 10, you're absolutely right. That certainly it seemed to be a bit more of a challenge than what